Hello, hello, hello. So happy to have you with us. I was actually going to wait because what I normally do is if there is a first part and a second part for The Bachelor, not always, but I've done that this season, is that I would go ahead and have one long review of both episodes. But I decided to change my mind because I saw that I lost a subscriber. So I said, you know what? Okay, let me just come on real quick and do another another review of episode 4. So, yes, we wish that they would come back, but hey, it's all good. So let's go ahead and get into this review. So I did take some notes. This is still unscripted, but I did take some notes because there are some things that I do want to talk about. So, do you have your snack? Do you have something to drink? Let's get into it. So, the first thing that we saw was Victoria with the black hair. She received the one on one date. And this one on one date was okay because all the ladies, just FYI to go back, they're going to Cleveland, Ohio. So they are going to their first destination in the United States. So at this concert, the singer is Chase. I don't know his last name, but he just so happens to be the ex of Victoria with the black hair. So it's kind of awkward because they're kissing and they're enjoying their date. However, they're doing all this dancing on stage to her ex-boyfriend. So to the camera, she keeps talking about Chase being her ex-boyfriend, but when she first talks to Peter about it, she describes him as someone she dated. But then Peter did mention to her, oh, your ex-boyfriend. So I guess they're using the word interchangeably. I don't know. When they have their date, their sit down portion of their date for dinner, but even prior to that, Victoria decides to actually confront the singer and say, oh, I don't know if I should tell Peter, that sort of thing. He's like, do what you feel in your heart. She's like, I'm going to tell him. My whole thing is, why are you talking to him? This is someone in your past. This is someone who has nothing to do with you dating Peter right now. Why do you feel the need to talk to him first before you talk to Peter? That relationship's supposed to be over. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. But anyway, when we get to the date, the sit down portion, the dinner portion, she does share that with Peter. She loses her words and runs off in a corner somewhere where he finds her, and then they have a conversation and they laugh about it. But one thing she was saying while she was trying to explain the situation or herself to him, I guess, was that she broke things off with him, the singer Chase, because his lifestyle didn't match what she wanted. And she said, I knew I wanted to give this a try with you. So I was just wondering, when did she know she wanted to give it a try with him? When she got called back from the casting process and then knew she was going to be on the show? Is that when she decided to break up with him? Or was it she broke up with him because she knew she didn't want his particular lifestyle of being a singer, and then she decided to go on the show? But the way she phrased it in one sentence like that makes me think she was dating him and then got a call back about The Bachelor. And I don't know. I'll leave it like that. I'm not going to say anything else about it, but you can let me know what you think about that in the comment section. So after the date with Victoria, they had the group date, and the group date was in the stadium. I don't know the name of the stadium, and there were two teams. The girls were split up into two teams: the Eliminators, which was the pink team, and then there was the Killer Bees, I believe, which was the yellow team. And they had to, whoever got the most touchdowns would win more time with Peter. Well, the Eliminators was, I guess, QB'd by Cheyenne, and the quarterbacked by Cheyenne, I guess, and the other team was with Andrea, I believe her name is, and they both did equally well. Actually, the Eliminators were on top, but then some kind of way, the Killer Bees came from behind. Now, this was called Bachelor Bowl, and there were two NFL stars there. I believe one was, his name was Josh, and the other guy, his name was, Hanford, I believe. And I guess they both had great backgrounds in terms of their record in the NFL. And the older guy, Hanford, I think they said he's a DB. I'm not really sure what that means. I'm not really a huge football follower, so maybe someone can educate me in the comments section. So after they tied, Cheyenne is always seemingly fighting for time with Peter and always getting interrupted. Natasha told her, hey, since you were, leading the touchdowns, getting 4 touchdowns, you should definitely get time with Peter first, and I will make sure I block anyone who tries to get in the way. Of course, we know that never happens with Cheyenne, so she did not get time with Peter first. Victoria with the blonde hair actually got time with Peter first because she has something going on with her back. So because she has something going on with her back, she sat out the time, the group date activities and everything like that. So that was something that the girls did not appreciate because they're out there busting their behinds on the field. And then we have the blonde Victoria literally on the sidelines, just, schmoozing with Peter and cuddling, on the side. So the girls weren't too happy about that. So Cheyenne was probably very disappointed when Victoria with the blonde hair took Peter first, even though she did even play in the football group date. She takes Peter first and gets time with Peter. So Cheyenne starts complaining about that as per usual, which is the same thing she did when Hannah Ann took Peter and probably, some other girl that I can't remember, but it was definitely Hannah Ann, and she definitely had a problem with that. So Victoria is spending time with Peter, and this is when things get a little more interesting. So actually, then Cheyenne spends time with Peter, and who interrupts Cheyenne spending time with Peter? Alayah. Alayah is back just in the midst of everything, and she's back in the mix, and she goes and gets Peter and speaks with him, and she feels like she's there to clear things up. She feels like Peter was manipulated by Victoria and how she explained their relationship. And Alayah also felt that Victoria with the blonde hair did not properly characterize their relationship as well as her own character, as well as Alayah's character. And so she had a problem with that. She went on to explain to Peter that Victoria the blonde Victoria, knew her back in Louisiana. They were friends. They knew each other before Miss USA. They knew each other after Miss USA. They planned to go to Vegas together that in January. And so Peter's just very confused. He goes to speak with Victoria, and Victoria's like, oh, I opened my heart to you, and I open myself to you. I gave you every bit of my heart. I told you how it was my truth, blah, blah. She just starts crying and making up all types of excuses of basically why she threw her quote unquote friend, under Alayah, under the bus, which really made Peter choose Victoria in the end and not give the rose to Alayah. Although, if you look in my last video, he talks about how much he really liked Alayah and all these other things, but because of the misgivings of the other woman and them being in his ear and saying all these negative things about Alayah, he decided to, especially with what Victoria said, he decided to give Alayah the boot. So then, when she's crying and everything, he gets distracted. So anyway, they all speak together, Alayah, Victoria, and Peter. And it was funny. I thought the body language was interesting because Peter had his arm around Victoria, although she's now being confronted with the fact that she kind of miscategorized the relationship that she had with Alayah. And Alayah's like, I'm confused why you would say we're not friends. Peter's like, I'm confused. They're all confused. And then Victoria, realizes she can't continue this charade. Later on, she does admit to Peter that they did indeed go to Vegas together and things like that. But when they were all sitting together, it was just very weird because then she starts like, softly wiping something away out of Alayah's eye. It was just like, okay, so this is not your friend. Only someone who's known someone very long or has a grand sense of familiarity would do such a gesture like that. And so it was very clear to Peter that they did know each other before based on what Alayah was saying and then now Victoria's admission. And he actually walks away while the girls are talking and he's like, this is weird. So then he explains to the ladies that he does speak with Alayah and he does ask her to stay. He feels like he didn't follow his heart. So he explains to the ladies that he feels that he did not follow his heart, and he does ask Alayah to stay and gives her the rose in front of all the ladies. He did the same thing to Sydney in front of Alayah, and I felt that that's good that he's being consistent with his lack of judgment in terms of how he presents the rose in these circumstances. I mean, I don't know if he really needed to do it on a full display of all the ladies. Yes, they would find out, but he did the same thing with Sydney. After Sydney threw Alayah under the bus, he gave Sydney the rose, and I didn't think it was right then, and I don't necessarily think it was right now, but at least he is doing it because it was kind of him making it right. So I feel that, at least he did do it in front of all of the ladies so they know this is his decision. He firmly stands by it, and then he's moving forward. Some of the ladies didn't like it, like Victoria with the black hair. She didn't like it because when Alayah came back on the scene, Alayah mentioned to a couple of the girls that the date that Victoria with the black hair went on was being serenaded pretty much, or the musical act was her ex-boyfriend, and some of the girls didn't know that. They're like, what, we didn't know? And she's like, yeah, I'm gonna tell it all. And so I just thought that was kind of interesting. I thought it was a lapse of judgment, but then when I saw that particular scene, I was like, okay, Alayah knows what she's doing. And so does Victoria with the blonde hair. I think really they both just need to go. I think Peter just needs to have two less roses, two fewer roses at the rose ceremony, and just, eliminates them both, because I think they're both playing each other. They're playing the game, and they don't seem to be, I see the manipulation happening. I don't think they're serious. So Victoria with the black hair confronts Alayah. She's like, we need to talk. And the reason why she wants to talk is because of the fact that she feels Alayah came back into the house to stir controversy. She's not there for the right reasons. And one of the controversial things that she's doing at this point is sharing with all of the ladies that her ex-boyfriend was there. She's like, don't you know we don't have the internet. You know we don't have our phones. Why are you sharing this with the ladies? So she comes in with her glass of red wine. Her lips are purple, so you know she's already been drinking. And she confronts her, and then Aaliyah's like, oh no, I didn't mean to, blah, blah, blah. Victoria tells Aaliyah that the reason why she wasn't in the house anymore is because she's a bad person. That's wrong in the eyes of Peter, Victoria, and you know that. And you and Sydney never gave Aaliyah a chance. And yes, if you do consider her to be manipulative or a bad person, then you have to think of the other girl who shares the same name as you with the blonde hair as the same, because she threw Aaliyah under the bus for her not to be in the house anymore, and now it's reaping a harvest here. So Kelsey has a one-on-one date with Peter after all of this happens, and she has a very mature reaction to what Peter reveals to her, that Aaliyah is back in the house. Kelsey's like, well, look, I want you to explore all your options at this stage, since there are so many women left here. And I want to know and be confident in the end that you chose me because you want to be with me, not because you chose me and then you're still wondering about this other girl that you let slip away. So Peter is relieved that she had such a good reaction. He also comments that that is the exact reaction that he would hope his future wife would have. They go on to have a great date where they're exploring Cleveland, Ohio, and going into photo booths, feeding each other, it looks like ice cream. Then they had some sort of carb box. I think they call them soap boxes. I hadn't seen something like that. The only thing that reminded me of something like that is Red Bull's, annual, race thing that they do. And that was their date. But when they get back into the house, no, it's not the house, it's the hotel. So when they get back into the hotel, there's so much like drama, basically. All the girls know now, and it's just annoying for all of them. They feel like they are pulling Peter aside left and right. Why did you do this? Blah, blah, blah. He's having to listen to all of their grievances. And Natasha, once everything is over, Natasha and Deandra, Natasha's consistently always speaking up. Deandra speaks up, and they share their level of misgivings about Aaliyah coming back in the house. And then, you can see Kelly, who met Peter prior to the show, kind of with that same smirk on her face. This is the same smirk that we saw when, I believe it was Kelsey, had her breakdown about the champagne. And you could look that up in the first episode video, review, analysis, recap. And I'm like, she is just laughing it up on the inside. I'm not sure if that's just how her face normally looks, but you can tell she finds this all very amusing. And the girls are not having it. So that's how we ended. It's to be continued. To be honest, we will see how this all ends in the next episode, which is, I guess, going to be the cocktail hour, and then heading into the rose ceremony, or however this is going to play out. And I will be here for it. You will be here for it. And check out the video that follows. So thanks again for watching. We're really listening, subscribing, and liking. Please comment below. Bye.